Chapter 10. What to eat. The modern sciences of medicine and hygiene have made no real progress in answering the question, what shall I eat? The endless disputes between vegetarians and meat eaters, raw food advocates and cooked food advocates, and all the various dietary schools appear never ending. And from the enormous piles of argument and evidence produced on each side, it becomes clear that if we rely on these theorists, we will never discover what the natural food of humanity actually is. So let us turn away from the confusion and ask nature herself. We will find she has not left us without an answer. Most dietary errors arise from a wrong assumption about the natural state of man. Many theorists assume that civilization and mental development are somehow unnatural, that the person who lives in a modern home, in a city or town, and who works in modern trade or industry for his living is leading an unnatural, artificial life, and is in an unnatural environment. They imagine that the only natural man is a naked savage, and that the farther we get from the savage, the farther we are from nature. This is wrong. The man who has all that art and science can give him is actually living more naturally, because they are expressing more of their human faculties. The dweller in a well-appointed city flat with modern conveniences and good ventilation is living a far more naturally human life than the Australian savage who lives in a hollow tree or a hole in the ground. That great intelligence, which is in all and through all, has in reality practically settled the question as to what we shall eat. In ordering the affairs of nature, it has decided that man's food shall be according to the zone in which he lives. In the far northern, frigid regions, where brain development is moderate and bodily labour is not excessively varied, fuel foods are required. Thus, the people of those regions live largely on the fat and blubber of aquatic animals. No other diet is possible to them. They could not get fruits, nuts, or vegetables even if they were disposed to eat them, and they could not live on them in that climate if they could get them. So, despite all the vegetarian arguments, the Eskimos will continue to live on animal fat. On the other hand, as we move toward the tropics, far less fuel food is needed. People naturally incline toward a diet of fruits and grains. Millions live healthfully on rice and fruit, but the diet of an Eskimo village, if adopted at the equator, would bring rapid death, and the diet suited to the equator would be ruinous in the Arctic. A natural diet for the equatorial regions would be very far from being a natural diet near the North Pole, and the people of either zone, if not interfered with by medical or dietary scientists, will be guided by the all-intelligence, which seeks the fullest life in all, to feed themselves in the best way for the promotion of perfect health. In general, then, we may see that God, working through nature and through the gradual evolution of human society, has already answered the question of what you shall eat. And I advise you to accept his answer rather than the theories of any individual person. In the temperate zone, humans are called upon to exert themselves most fully in body, mind and spirit. and there we find the greatest variety of foods naturally available. And it is ultimately useless to theorize about what the masses should eat, because they have no choice. They must eat the staple foods produced in their own region. It is impossible for everyone to eat a nut and fruit diet, or a raw food diet, and the fact that such diets cannot be universally supplied is proof that they are not the foods intended by nature. For nature, aimed at the advancement of life, would not make the essential conditions of life impossible to obtain. So, I say, the question, what shall I eat, has already been answered for you. Eat wheat, corn, rye, oats, barley, buckwheat. Eat vegetables, eat meats, eat fruits, eat the things that are eaten by the masses of the people around the world. For in this matter, the voice of the people is the voice of God. They have been led, generally, to the selection of certain foods, and they have been led, generally, to prepare these foods in generally similar ways. And you may depend upon it that in general, they have the right foods and are preparing them in the right way. In these matters, the race has been under the guidance of God. The list of foods in common use is a long one, and you must choose from it according to your own individual tastes. In doing so, you will find you possess an infallible guide, as the next chapters will show. If you refuse to eat until you feel a genuine, earned hunger, you will quickly find that your taste will no longer crave unnatural or unhealthy foods. The woodchopper, who has swung his axe continuously from 7 in the morning until noon, does not come in clamouring for cream puffs, sweets, or fancy confections. He wants pork and beans, or beefsteak and potatoes, or cornbread and cabbage. He asks for the plain solids. Offer him a plate of lettuce and a handful of walnuts, and he will look at you with incredulous amusement. Those items are not natural foods for a working man who has genuinely earned his hunger. And if they are not suited to a working man, they are not suited to anyone. Because real hunger, the hunger produced by the expenditure of tissue through living and working, is always the same. It calls for the same basic materials, whether the one who feels it is a woodchopper or a banker, a man, a woman, or a child. It is a mistake to suppose that food must be selected with anxious care to fit the vocation of the person who eats. It is not true that the woodchopper requires heavy or solid foods and the bookkeeper light foods. If you are a bookkeeper or other brain worker and do not eat until you have earned hunger, you will want exactly the same foods that the woodchopper wants. Your body is made of exactly the same elements as that of the woodchopper, and requires the same materials for cell building. Why should he be fed ham and eggs and cornbread, while you are restricted to crackers and toast? True, the woodchopper's bodily wear is mostly muscular, while yours is mostly nerve and brain tissue. But the so-called heavy foods he eats contains all the elements necessary for brain and nerve repair in far better proportions than most light foods prescribed by dietitians. The greatest intellectual work the world has ever seen has been done by people who lived on the plain, substantial fare of the common people. Let the bookkeeper wait until he has an earned hunger before he eats. And then, if he wants ham, eggs and cornbread, by all means, let him eat them. But let him remember that he does not need 1/20th of the amount necessary for the woodchopper. Indigestion in brain workers does not come from eating hearty foods. It comes from eating without hunger, from eating to gratify appetite rather than to satisfy need. If you eat only when hungry, and in the manner described in the next chapter, your taste will become so natural that you will never desire anything you cannot digest safely. Then you can drop the anxious question of what to eat forever and simply eat what you want. Indeed, that is the only way to do if you are to think no thoughts but those of health. You cannot think health so long as you are in continual doubt and uncertainty over menus and diets. Take no thought what ye shall eat, said Jesus, and he spoke wisely. The foods found on the table of any ordinary, middle-class or working-class family will nourish your body perfectly if you eat at the right times and in the right way. If you want meat, eat it. If you do not want meat, do not eat it. And do not assume you must hunt for some special substitutes. You can live perfectly well on what is left on any table after the meat has been removed. It is unnecessary to worry about having a varied diet in order to obtain all necessary elements. The Chinese and Hindus build very good bodies and excellent brains on a diet of few variations, rice making almost the whole of it. The Scotch are physically and mentally strong on oatmeal cakes, and the Irishman is husky of body and brilliant of mind on potatoes and pork. The wheatberry contains practically all that is necessary for the building of brain and body, and a man can live very well on a mono diet of navy beans. So, form a conception of perfect health for yourself, and do not hold any thought which is not a thought of health. Never eat until you have an earned hunger. Remember that it will not hurt you in the least to go hungry for a short time, but it will surely hurt you to eat when you are not hungry. Do not waste a moment wondering what you should or should not eat. Simply eat what is placed before you, choosing the foods that genuinely appeal to your taste. In other words, eat what you want. You can safely do this with perfect results, provided you eat in the right way. And this is what the next chapter will explain.